All right. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Cooper. So welcome to the school board meeting this evening. It's February 22nd. Due to weather concerns, we had to move this to a virtual meeting. So thank you all for joining us. At this time, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the salute to the flag. So if you would join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, Mrs. Chenoweth, would you please call the roll?
Sure, can you hear me?
We can.
Mrs. Spanish Clemens?
Here.
Mr. Cormack?
Mr. Cormack, you may be muted.
Here.
Mrs. Cullen?
Here.
Mrs. Dolan?
Here.
Mr. Gerhart?
Here.
Mr. Kraus?
Here.
Mr. Rice?
Here.
Dr. Thompson?
Here.
And Mrs. Walters?
Here.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move into public comment. Dr. Bolton, do we have any comments related to agenda items?
There was nothing submitted by 6 o'clock regarding agenda items, Mr. Kraus, no.
Okay, well, thank you very much. With that, we'll move right into the superintendent's report.
Excellent, thank you very much. Good evening. A couple exciting things for the superintendent's report tonight. First is the celebration of the 100th day of school. Hard to believe that it got here, but last week we did celebrate the 100th day of school. And even though it ended up being a virtual day, our teachers and our staff found wonderful ways to celebrate the special day by sharing special messages and some of their favorite books with their students. You can see here on the screen one of the virtual bookshelves that was put together by teachers at our various elementary schools so the students could go on and have a book read to them that was one of their teachers' favorites. And so it was just one of the ways that we celebrated the 100th day. So a happy 100th day, Pennridge. Next, as you know, February is Black History Month. It's a month where we honor the history and contributions African Americans have made to our culture, our country, and the world. And although Pennridge has committed to including diversity throughout the year, February is still a month where teachers and staff provide lessons and activities to educate students. I want to show appreciation for Ms. Cooper, who has been highlighting activities from all 3 levels on our social media accounts. Tonight, I've invited 2 Pennridge staff, a parent, and 2 students to highlight how they have each individually helped contribute to Black History Month in Pennridge. I thought it would be better to hear the stories from them than to hear it directly from me. I am so appreciative of their hard work on their projects and activities and their willingness to share them tonight. Sharing tonight will be Ms. Erin Reichert, who is one of our elementary instructional coaches, Dr. Diane Underhill, who is a parent of a student at Grass and a student at Central, Ms. Mary Lou Ashworth, who is the librarian at Central Middle School, and Ms. Maya and Ms. Aaliyah Lomax, who are seniors at the high school. Ms. Reichert, I would ask if you would share first. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Bolton. Good evening. My name is Erin Reichert, and I am a proud Pennridge graduate, a proud Pennridge parent, and I am currently a proud Pennridge K-5 academic coach. For anyone who knows me, you know that I'll try to find a positive in most any situation. COVID has brought us all trials and tribulations, but one of the most impressive silver linings I have seen hasn't been hard to spot. I can tell you that I've never seen teachers come together as they have done in the last year. Not just Pennridge teachers or teachers in PA, but teachers all over the world. Teachers have pulled together to collaborate, share, ask and answer questions. And with that comes amazing student-centered resources shared through a variety of digital avenues. While this is awesome, it can also be very overwhelming because it's hard to know where to begin. I have been able to find, curate, and edit and adapt these types of activities for many subjects, but most recently for Black History Month. In the past, as a technology integrator in the district, I have shared lessons and ideas to honor and celebrate Black History Month in a previous teacher blog that we titled the Thursday 3. But like many things, it's different this year. I knew I needed to adjust those lessons of previous years to meet the needs of students and teachers in all 3 different learning modalities to make these resources accessible to all. In addition to these lessons I had previously created, I came across tons of new resources shared by not only Pennridge teachers, but teachers around the globe. By viewing, editing, and curating, I can be sure that the content shared with our students is appropriate, meets the needs of our learners, and meets the criteria in our curriculums. In addition, as a bonus, I've been able to incorporate best practices, resources, and tech tools that have been recently shared during professional learning times for teachers. So teachers are seeing these tools in use firsthand. A big part of my job is modeling to students and teachers. And by sharing a resource like this, I was able to do just that. For example, a recent workshop I facilitated was on creating digital worksheets using master slides in Google. So what better way to follow up than to provide teachers with a resource using master slides that they could use with their students directly. It was my pleasure to compile these resources in one area for our Pennridge teachers, which in turn led to teachers having resources at their fingertips and left them with valuable time. So when I'm asked to come in and model a lesson shared, or when I see one of those lessons hanging in the school hallways or a picture on Seesaw, I consider it a success. This week, I'll be wrapping up a similar project in honor of Women's History Month, coming up in March. Our social studies supervisor, Keith Vaverka, and myself, as well as the other elementary coaches, have been collaborating, and we are excited for it to go live to teachers this week so they can use it in their planning in the weeks ahead. As I mentioned to Mr. Vaverka as I wrapped up this resource, it was a labor of love. I know that the time that I put into these types of resources directly and indirectly impacts our students and saves others valuable time in which they can use to differentiate, collaborate, plan small group lessons, and more. And as a Pennridge parent, I would be remiss if I didn't thank all of Pennridge teachers and principals, particularly this year. Whether you are a teacher who directly associates with my child or one of the many behind the scenes, I am truly grateful. Thank you.
Mrs. Reichert, thank you so much for your work and also your testimony to the teachers and the many hard people who are working all year for them. I agree with you that it was neat to be able to see the resources that you created and then either go into schools or see on social media and teachers post things that were being used. So I can understand how that would be very fulfilling for you, and thank you for that, for spreading those. We appreciate that.
Thank you for the opportunity.
A second example we'd like to share from the elementary level comes from Dr. Underhill. So Dr. Underhill, if you could tell us a little bit about the exciting work that you helped with at Grass.
Definitely. Thank you and good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Diane Underhill. Need more coffee this late at night. Proud Central parent, but also proud Grass parent. And I am part of the diversity committee as part of the Grass PTO. This year was our very first Diversity Inclusion Week. We held it on February 8th through February 11th. And you're looking at the center graphic, which was the graphic that we created to represent unity amongst the school. We even have our bulldog in there. And the graphic represents, we see you, we welcome you, and you belong here. Our annual event builds awareness around the uniqueness of each individual. During the week at Grass Elementary School, our community celebrated and embraced diverse backgrounds, values, and points of view in order to build a strong, inclusive community. We prepared students for lives in multicultural society. The theme for this year was the colorful world of JM Grass. So each of us brightens the world in our own special way. And it was built on the story, The Crayon Box That Talked. Each of us is unique, but when together, the picture is complete. So some of the things we did on a daily basis were there was music selected to listen to get us going in the morning that represented unity and acceptance. There were virtual readers, which Dr. Bolton was a part of. We had books such as Strictly No Elephants, The World Needs Who You Were Made to Be, Talk Like a River, Giraffes Can't Dance. And then we had dress-up days. The colors coordinated with a theme that really celebrated diversity and inclusion. So for example, we wore blue for belonging. We are all important and we all belong at Grass. We wore red for respect and support our fellow classmates, recognizes that individual differences make us special. We wore green for gifts. Friendship is a gift that we give to one another. We have talents to share. And then on the last day, we wore spirit wear. Spirit wear can all be different, but we are all a part of the same team. We are all linked together and connected in our purpose to make grass a great place to be. So this was the first of what hopefully becomes an annual event, a week-long event and celebration. Now, while we did have some snow thrown in there in the mix, we did still have some virtual celebrations. Everyone was still dressed in their wonderful color coordination. And we did have a lot of extra lesson plans and activities built in around heritage, language, acceptance, and individuality. So it was a great week altogether. I can't wait to see what it becomes when we're all in person in the future. But again, thank you to everyone for allowing us to do this, everyone who participated and supported. And I will reiterate those comments again that were previous to mine, that thank you to all the teachers and staff out there at our district for all that you do for our children, for my children, and for everyone. So thank you.
Dr. Underhill, thank you for your work and for your work throughout the year on the diversity team at Grass. I know that there were principals who were spying on your work at Grass. And so I know there's going to be some good stealing going on with other buildings, as well as I'm sure there'll be some things at Grass that you can steal next year for there. So thank you for your work at that level. We appreciate that. Next, let's talk a little bit about the middle school level. Ask if Mrs. Ashworth would come and talk a little bit about the work that's happening at the middle level during the month of February. So Ms. Ashworth. Mrs. Ashworth, I believe you're on mute.
Good evening, everyone. I am Mary Lou Ashworth. I am the librarian at Central Middle School. And I thought I would do my presentation a lot like our students see. And I built a module in our the learning management system that we use, which is called Canvas, probably not new to many of you if you are parents. So the first thing a student would see in a module built for them would be the usually the introduction. So this just offers an introduction, you know, sharing information regarding Black History Month with the Pennridge community and the school board, questions and objectives. And then on the next page, you would have the activities that students would participate in. So I put them here in the module, but they would take a long time to load on my computer. So I just put them in the at the top. I wanted to share just a minute, a little bit, that all of the librarians at Pennridge this year are embracing Black History Month through a research project. So if you look at North, she is supporting, I believe they're doing their Black History research project in social studies. She created digital collections featuring Black History Month titles and digital and in-person collections, again, supporting, doing citation and using the Pennridge research model for her project, their project in social studies. Amy Brandon, the librarian at South, is using the Pennridge research model to have students do research and create a magazine cover. And here is her example that she's sharing and the guidelines that students need to follow in the research process. That was kind of a summary of what they're doing at the other middle schools. At our middle school, I'm going to take just a moment, give a little shout out to a central student. This is Chloe Kircher, sweet Chloe. Hopefully she's watching with her family, and she's going to talk about the announcements that our Service Learning Club put together, recognizing notable African Americans. She can do a better job than I am, so let me play Chloe Kircher for a minute.
Ms. Ashworth, I'm not sure if it's just me, but I can't hear.
Neither can I, Dr. Bolton.
Would you be able to summarize what she said during her video for us?
Can you hear me now? Okay. She was, oh, it's a shame. It's because it was a great speech. We had our service learning club, primarily Chloe and I honor notable Black history, notable Black Americans by doing a daily announcement featuring today. She featured Ruby Bridges, and they wrote up and summarized notable African Americans and their contributions. So that's been part of our daily announcements. And moving on from that, our students in 6th grade created a virtual room for themselves as a little mini project. So this is one of our students, and they would, things they like to eat, who's on their cell phone, what is a poster, a quote that means something to them. And then we took that project and with a little more work, spent some time. Again, this is interesting, Erin, you'll see during our asynchronous days, we had our students focus on some Black History Month choice boards. So students could spend time with notable African Americans, Carter Woodson, the father of Black History Month, or all these different activities they could choose from on another asynchronous day. They spent some time with African American heroes and interacted with them. I got this, I think, this is a very cool site that our students spent some time on. It's just a virtual museum, and they spent a day in the library, which is about 30 minutes in the museum and responding to some of the things they saw as part of the exhibits that are there. So let me slow that down. So then our students, so they spent time in the museum, spent some of the asynchronous days working on some independent getting to know you activities. And then as their final project that they're working on right now, they're creating a virtual room, not for themselves, but for a notable African American. What would, I used as an example, Abraham Lincoln, what would he have, who would he have on his cell phone? Who would he take a phone call from? Who wouldn't he? Do you think that he would take a phone call from Robert E. Lee, or wouldn't he take a phone call? So that's what students are doing right now. They're researching a notable African American of their choice, and they're putting together a virtual room. And I'm going to stop screen sharing because I think I might be able to fix the reason that you couldn't hear. So let me try to do this, because I have a student who did a great job with her project, and she did a little summary of her project today. So let me know if you can hear this, Dr. Bolton, as she goes. This is my student, Nikki Ladd, who is going to summarize her notable African-American project.
I am Nikki Ladd. Miss Ashworth chose me to tell you about a project we have been working on in the library. First, we made a virtual living room about ourselves. It showed our favorite books, a quote we liked, and a little about our families. Then we did lots of research using Noodle tools to record information about an African-American hero. I chose Rebecca Lee Crumpler. This is a little information I learned about her. Rebecca was born in Delaware, but she moved to Pennsylvania with her aunt, where she learned some medical skills. Her aunt often helped their neighbors with illnesses, so Rebecca learned some tips and tricks about solving them. Rebecca's accomplishments were being the first African American to become a physician. When she was a nurse, the doctors she worked under noticed her compassion to all of her patients, regardless of race or wealth. With their recommendation, she was admitted to the New England Female Medical College. When she graduated in 1864, she became the first African American to earn a medical degree. Even though there was a lot of racism in her field of work, she still persevered and became a well-remembered physician. A quote I think would suit Rebecca is, "A truly amazing doctor is hard to find and even harder to forget." I thought this fit her because Rebecca was an amazing doctor that treated everyone equally, and because of this, she was not forgotten. I thought she would like books about medical practices and fighting against racism because of her role in society. Finally, a thing that happened in her time was the Civil War. Once all of the Black slaves were released, she went to help them get back on their feet. Not a lot of people did this at this time, which made her very memorable.
So the students did the research project, what they're working on now, and then they're going to do a little Flipgrid presentation and then take a look at some of their classmates' presentations. And then part of the research project will be to respond in a positive way about some of their classmates' Flipgrids and who they chose to do their research report on. So I am grateful to Nikki, who worked through the snow days to get her project done on time for me to do this. And I'm sorry, Chloe, that I didn't get to play your nice Ruby Bridges announcement. But those are some of the things that we're doing in the middle schools and at Central specifically. And the module is in my Canvas.
Well, Ms. Ashworth, thank you to you and to the other librarians for the work that is impacting our middle school students at all three of our middle schools. So thank you for that. We really do appreciate it. And for you to show it in such a creative way, like through the students' eyes, was really, really effective. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here tonight. And then last, at the high school level, we have two seniors, Miss Lomax and Miss Lomax. And so if you guys would go ahead and tell us a little bit about the work that you've been doing at the high school level during the month of February.
So hello, school board staff and community members. We would first like to say thank you for inviting us to this forum to speak about Black History Month and issues that are important to us. And we would also like to acknowledge all the work everyone has been doing this month. My name is Maya Lomax. I've been at Pennridge School, or I've been at the school district since 4th grade, and I'm currently a senior here at Pennridge High School. I'm also the co-founder of the Minority Inclusive Club.
Sorry, we were just trying to get the presentation. Can you guys see?
Stop share.
Looks great.
Oh, sorry. We couldn't hear you guys. Did you guys see the slideshow?
We could see it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll give you a thumbs up when it's back on.
Okay. I'm Aaliyah Lomax, a current senior at the high school, and I've been in the Pennridge School District since the 2nd grade. I'm also a co-founder of the Minority Inclusive Club, and today we are going to talk a little bit about our club at the high school and Black History Month.
We are cousins who founded the Minority Inclusive Club our sophomore year of high school. We created this club because we wanted to give students of color at Pennridge a safe place to speak about racial issues at school and in the community. We felt there was a need for this with the school being mostly white. Last summer, we created a petition that received over 2,700 signatures from our community that focused on implementing a more diverse curriculum. Through this petition, we met with our superintendent, Dr. Bolton, on multiple occasions and presented our petition to the school board. As a result of our petition, we've been placed in a DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion group to come up with solutions for these racial issues at Pennridge.
Our club's mission is to educate the student body and surrounding community about Black history and the social experience. We want to spread awareness about the Black, Indigenous, and people of color issues that they face. Every week, we hold club meetings through Zoom, and some of the discussion topics we talk about include current events, police brutality, microaggressions, and many more.
As a result of what our mission is as a club, we've used the video announcements at our school as a method to educate other students about Black history. We wanted to educate the students at Pennridge about the non-generic Black figures that we often feel are the go-to when talking about Black history. We want to highlight this month by showcasing the positivity Black people have created for themselves despite all the oppression. We felt that it was necessary to give different perspectives on these subjects.
Although educating the student body is a great way to spread awareness, we took the student initiative from the lack of initiative from the staff and administration. We have been filming and producing the Black History Month segments on the Daily Ramble since our sophomore year of high school, when we first created the club. Some of the topics that we speak about during Black History Month include historic figures, modern figures, Black art, and more. And this is what it would look like, and there's like a video link for the current ones today.
So one of the sole reasons why we started producing these Black History Month segments for the Ramble is because we believe Black history is American history. Not only should this month be highlighted to bring recognition about inventions African Americans have made, but also to recognize that these contributions are a part of American history. We would also like to emphasize that Black people did not start out enslaved. Black history is a long, rich legacy of contributions to the world, including science, education, medicine, and farming. Black people have been a part of American history by fighting in many wars, which was the embodiment of patriotism and what America's principles were based on.
The history of Black people cannot be bottled up in only 28 days. This can be better implemented with a curriculum change, which we know the district has been working towards. For example, we could add a more diverse set of readings for each grade level. It is important that students at the Pennridge School District leave here with a complete understanding of the whole American history.
Here's a visual list we wanted to share with everybody about things that were invented by African Americans, some including the refrigerator, pencil sharpener, and countless others. Without many of these inventions created by Black people, America wouldn't be as far ahead as it is now. For example, E.R. Robinson invented the electric trolley in 1893, and since then there have been over 500,000 patents. Another example would be B.F. Jackson inventing the gas burner in 1899, and since then there have been over 600,000 patents.
We would like to see a change at Pennridge, and we want to see a curriculum that reflects all the people at the Pennridge School District community. We want to see a school board that sees Black history as American history, and that it should be incorporated to content all year long, not just during Black History Month. These issues are important to us and should be important to you. These are people who will hold jobs, who will vote, who will be interacting with people who do not look like them and come from different backgrounds. It is to everyone's benefit to be educated about all aspects of history, to decrease biases that people hold and carry during their day-to-day life. Thank you.
Aaliyah and Maya, thank you. Two things about your pictures. First of all, I got a little verklempt when I saw the picture with no mask in 2019. It'll be nice again when the club can pull us that way.
That was 2019.
I know, it made me feel good. So the other one is, can you go to the slide where, oh, never mind. You didn't tell us who was in the picture with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I believe that you two have a personal connection to that. I think you should tell us who that gentleman is.
Yeah, that's our grandfather. He treated him actually 2 months before he passed in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he was a medicine practitioner in Philadelphia, and that was one of the people he got to practice on. So yeah.
And I believe as I heard from Mrs. Lomax, who's working with our DEI team, that he actually was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s personal physician anytime he came to Philadelphia. And so apparently in big cities, he would have a physician that he trusted who would work with him. And so I believe that your grandfather was that man for Dr. Martin Luther King. And I thought that was really cool. I remember seeing that picture at Pearl S. Buck with Mrs. Lomax one time. So thank you. Ladies and everyone who presented tonight, thank you so much for just giving us a little snip of what our students at the elementary level, at the middle school level, and at the high school level have been experiencing this month. And like Maya and Aaliyah said, the goal that it's not just this month, that through our curriculum, through our reading, through activities, our curriculum work that's going on, that it will be something that will be celebrated throughout, but also then further celebrated, obviously, in February with those activities. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. The only other thing I have, Mr. Kraus, I would like to recognize a donation. I'd like to recognize a donation of 96 boxes of disinfectant wipes from Miss Betty Underwood, who is the assistant manager at Sully's Superette in New Hampshire, at the request of the Underhill family, to be used at Grass Elementary. So we want to thank Miss Underwood for the donation to Grass. And that is the superintendent's report tonight. I would like to next hand it over to our student liaison, Aiden McGinnis, who will do our student liaison report for the high school. Aiden?
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Bolton. So as Dr. Bolton mentioned, my name is Aiden McGinnis, and I'm a senior at Pennridge High School and the student liaison to the school board. Normally, I'd talk about some of the events going on and the hard work that members of student council and other clubs are doing to accomplish these. But I figured to take that in a different direction tonight because, as many of you know, today was the second first day of school here at Pennridge High School. And I say the second because today was the first time since March 13th of 2020 that every single student had the option to attend school full. And it was just so amazing to walk through school today and hear people talking in the hallways and get to see some of the people who maybe you're not so close with or you don't play sports with in your classrooms. It was just so great. And while I can't speak for every single student at Pennridge, I can say that coming from myself and everyone I'm interacting with, that we're so grateful to all the teachers and staff members at both the high school and district office who worked so hard since March 13th to get us here and continue to getting us where we have to be.
Thank you, Aiden. And I'm sure it's a great day for all the students to come in. It's been a long time coming, and we're so happy that you're able to attend 5-day class. So from the board, I'll speak for everybody maybe that this is a really, really good thing. So thank you for that report.
Aiden, that was cool. I appreciate you doing that. For those who were part of the superintendent's report and the presentations tonight, we will give you permission to log off now. Just remind you, Dairy Queen doesn't close till 9. So just in case you need a treat for your presenting tonight, please ask, moms and dads if you can get there and get your treat. So thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate that. And that's the end of the reports, Mr. Kress.
Thank you, Dr. Bolton. Okay, moving on to the consent calendar. I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar, items A through H.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Rice. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes 9-0. Moving into the committee reports, curriculum, Mrs. Walters.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. We have a couple items for approval tonight. The curriculum committee met on February 1st, and the first items up for approval are, oh, I'm on the wrong one. Hold on. Motion to approve the following textbooks, A through D. It's an AP psychology book, a biology 1 academic book for grade 9, biology honors book for grade 9, and an AP biology book for grades 11 and 12.
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Thompson. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes 9-0. Back to you, Mrs. Walters.
All right, and the next item is the approval of the 2021-2022 Pennridge School District calendar.
I'll second that. Sorry, Dr. Thompson. Seconded by Mr. Kraus. Questions or comments from board members? Okay.
Dr. Bolton, were there any highlights that you wanted to point out? I know you had done some at the committee meeting.
Yeah, just very similar to what we shared last month in terms of just reminding people in terms of the starting before Labor Day based on when Labor Day is, highlighting the fact that this calendar does not include Thanksgiving Monday as a day off. It is a day of school. Now that hunting has opened the whole weekend, and that matches what is happening with the Palisades School District, which means the tech school students will be able to attend school on that Monday after Thanksgiving. And the school ends that first full week in June. So just the highlights were the same as last month.
Okay. Seconded by Mr. Kraus. Questions or comments from board members? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Mrs. Dolan, are you in favor of the calendar?
No, I'm a nay on that.
Okay. All right, motion passes 8-1. Back to you, Mrs. Walters.
All right, and our next curriculum committee meeting is Monday, March 1st.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving into the facilities. The Facilities Committee did meet on January 11, and we have several motions. The first motion is to approve a resolution regarding Delbar LERTA request. And just real briefly for the community, LERTA is a program that enables us to enter into an agreement with a landholder who is developing a property who is blighted and is not serving much purpose to the community, to help them redevelop that by delaying taxes on that community, on that property. So in this case, this is, those of you familiar with downtown Percy, this is the Delbar property. And you've seen that there's been some activity there to start with already. The plans for this property are quite amazing, to include some townhouses as well as apartments. So it's a big,
Mr. President,
big boost to the community. Yes, sir, Mr. Miller.
just to amplify what you've said, under the Local Tax Enabling Act, the LERTA program enacted by Percy Borough allows a 10-year schedule of reduced taxes, gradually increasing over time on new improvements only. And the purpose of the program is to incentivize people to invest money in industrial development, as you said, in blighted properties. The benefit of this LERTA program for the district is that the Delbar building, if investment is made into it, will return to the tax rolls, and we will get the benefit of the increased value for the improvements to the property over a 10-year period, which will allow the investors time to recoup some of their initial investment, but again, allow something to become a more vibrant part of the community. The Percy Borough has passed a ordinance allowing for these improvements only on the Delbar building. So in adopting this, the board is not only mirroring the borough and supporting development in the borough, but taking a very restricted view of development. This is not going to be something which is going to occur across the borough or even across the school board territory. This is targeted towards this development. So again, it's a development tool designed to bring taxable parcels back to life more than anything else. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Your explanation is much more elegant than mine, so thank you for that. Okay, so motions on the table to approve a resolution regarding Delbar LERTA request.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Kraus, I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Dr. Thompson. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 9-0. Okay, next is motion to approve the 2021 base maintenance project scope requested by Reynolds Site Logic.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Rice. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, just a brief explanation on this. This is our summer projects that we do every summer to maintain our buildings and keep them in top safe condition and improve the overall building itself. So this is what that is. Seconded by Mr. Rice. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Thank you. The next item is approval of obsolete items. It's a motion to approve obsolete items listed as A through D.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Walters. Questions or comments from board members? No, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion passes 9-0. The next Facilities Committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 8th. Thank you very much. And with that, we'll move into finance. Mrs. Baines Clemens.
Thank you. The Finance Committee met on January 11th.
Can't hear you, Megan.
Trying headphones, but apparently that's not working out for me, so I'll have to adjust that. Okay, the Finance Committee met on January 11th, and I'll make a motion to approve the contracts A through H listed on board docs.
Second.
Okay. Seconded by Mr. Cormack. Questions or comments from board members? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes 9-0. Back to you, Mrs. Baines Clemens.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the Bucks County Intermediate Units 2021-2022 Programs and Services and Instructional Materials and Research Services budget.
Okay, I'll
I'll second
second that.
Go ahead, Bill.
Seconded by Mr. Kraus. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes 9-0. Back to you, Mrs. Baines Clemens.
And I'll just add that there was no increase to the, well, there was an increase to the budget, but that was covered with entrepreneurial efforts. And so there was no increase to the district. We actually ended up seeing a little bit of a decrease.
Thank you.
And next, I'll make a motion to approve the 11th Amendment to the Articles of Agreement for the Upper Bucks County Technical School.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Rice. Questions or comments from board members?
I just want to highlight that this amendment is kind of a long time coming. We've had this Articles of Agreement committee at the tech school for a while now. We've kind of been going back and forth and back and forth. You all probably, well, I don't know how much the public remembers, but we had another version of this that came to us several months back. It unanimously passed in Pennridge, unanimously passed in Quakertown. But because it was voted down at Palisades 7-2, it actually needs a majority of all 3 sending districts. We went back to the table, removed one thing that seemed to be the sticking point for Palisades, and now we're hopeful that the new version will be approved by all 3 sending districts. But the most significant change to this amendment is the funding formula. Currently, there are 2 separate funding formulas, and there's a lot of different opinions on what those different formulas apply to and what it doesn't, because the history doesn't exactly mirror what is in the Articles of Agreement. So the goal here is to make everything go through the same budget, which is the 5-year annual enrollment average of all 3 sending districts. So you would be paying proportional to how many students you're actually sending to the school. And this would then get rid of that piece, that capital piece that involves the STEB formula. So this will be a big help at the tech school and at Pennridge if we're able to get this approved. So.
Okay.
Mr. Kraus.
Mr. Cormack.
Thank you. I just wanted to let the board know and the general public know that Megan Baines Clemens went far and beyond to make sure we got this Article 11 agreement. Because if it wasn't for her and her tenaciousness and her willing to look at all issues and all aspects of how to make this work, congratulations, Megan, you did a great job. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Cormack. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so we definitely appreciate all the work. And I know that Mr. Cormack is part of the VOTEC committee as well. So he's much more in tune with the details of the work that you put into this. I know it was a lot of effort. So thank you very much for that. Okay, with that, Other questions or comments from board members? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Let's hope the other districts have the same result.
We will be listening in to make sure.
Yeah. Back to you, Mrs. Baines-Clemens.
Thanks. And the next motion I'll make is to approve the 2021-2022 advertising of bids and RFPs, A through E.
Second it. I'll second it for you. Questions or comments from board members? None? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Mrs. Baines-Clemens.
Thank you. And just a reminder that all of these are listed in board docs rather than us reading them all to you. And these were also thoroughly discussed at the Finance Committee meeting. So if people have an interest in those specifics, that's a great opportunity to be able to hear the details of that. And the Finance Committee meeting is scheduled to meet again on March 8th.
Thank you very much. Personnel Committee, Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. Let me just pull up my notes. Okay, the Personnel Committee met February 1st. The meeting minutes are posted on board docs. Tonight we have an approval of cabinet job descriptions. I would like to make a motion to approve the revised job descriptions for the following cabinet positions: Director of Pupil Services, Director of Human Resources, and Business Administrator.
I'll second.
Where was that second? Mrs. Walters? Was that you? Seconded by Mrs. Walters. Questions or comments from board members?
I just want to provide context just in case there are any community members who were not listening in to the last committee meeting where these were discussed. The reason there are 3 of them is we routinely reevaluate and look at job descriptions to make sure that they cover the positions that are actually being done, because things obviously change on positions through a district. And so we take the opportunity that when the people in these employment, their contracts are coming up for consideration for renewal, that we take that time to take a look at the job description. So if you look ahead to the next item, the agenda item, there will be contracts online for these 3 positions as well, as their contracts are up at the end of June this year. And so that is why these 3 contracts. We did the same thing with Dr. Scheid and Dr. Rybarczyk when their new contracts were approved by the board.
Thank you, Dr. Bolton.
All right. Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments from board members? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes 9-0. Back to you, Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following cabinet member contracts for Dr. Anthony Rybarczyk, Dr. Sherry Durr, Mr. Sean Daubert, and Miss Jackie McHale.
Second.
Wow, that was quick, Mr. Cormack. Seconded by Mr. Cormack. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, Dr. Bolton, would you like to?
I just want to provide context as to Dr. Rybarczyk showing up on this list with his job description. If you remember when we brought Dr. Rybarczyk on, he was not able to start July 1st because of his position in another school district. And so he did not begin until August with Pennridge. And the commissioned officer requirements is that commissioned officers have at least a 3-year contract. And so we approved Dr. Rybarczyk for 3 school years, but it was not 3 calendar years. And so the only change in Dr. Rybarczyk's calendar is to change his ending date to August of 2022 instead of June of 2022 to make it a full 3 calendar year adjustment. The other 3 people, Dr. Durr, Mr. Daubert, and Ms. McHale, have been members of my cabinet since I have gotten here 2.5 years ago, and could not be doing this work with finer people. The 3 of them have served this district well, have served this board well, and I am fully in support of their extensions in terms of their new contracts, and just want to publicly thank each of them Sherry, Sean, and Jackie for the amazing work you do for Pennridge. I just really do appreciate everything you've done for me, but mostly for the students and the staff and the families in the Pennridge community. So thank you for considering these 4 contracts.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bolton. Any other questions or comments from board members? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. So congratulations, Dr. Rabarchek, Dr. Durr, Mr. Daubert, and Mrs. McHale. Congratulations. Moving on, back to you, Mrs. Dr. Thompson. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kraus. I also wanted to say thank you to all of the cabinet members, and I appreciate all of your hard work. I don't say it enough, but I think it's a good time to recognize all of your contributions. Thank you so much. I would now like to move on to the approval of a tenure recommendation. It is my pleasure to make this motion to approve a tenure recommendation for Miss Megan Langford.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Walters. Questions or comments from board members? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Back to you, Dr. Thompson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kraus. Next, I'd like to make a motion to approve addendum to the agreement between the Pennridge School District and ESS Northeast LLC for the services of substitute teachers and staff.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Rice. Questions or comments from board members? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Back to you, Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. I'd like to now make a motion to approve agreements between Pennridge School District and employees number 5443 and number 4824.
Second.
Where'd that second come from? Ah, Mrs. Cullen. Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Back to you, Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. That's it for Personnel Committee meeting. I'm sorry for my committee report. The next committee meeting is scheduled for March 1st.
Okay, thank you very much. And if you don't mind, if you would carry right into policy.
Yes, sir, I will. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following policies, A through K numbers, and these are all listed in board docs, so you can read them at length. 003, 201, 204, 208, 222, 233, 237, 323, 626, 707, and 805.2.
Okay. Thank you for that. Just a reminder to everyone, this is just following a general review of all policies and bringing them up to current standards and following local and state regulations.
Second.
Seconded by
Me. I just have to keep muting because I'm worried that the dog's going to bark.
Mrs. Cullen. Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from board members? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes 9-0. Back to you, Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. The next policy committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 8th.
Thank you very much. IU committee, Mrs. Baines Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. The IU met on February 16th. And I'm just going to briefly highlight a few things, and then I'll attach some of the important news to the minutes and also to the website like last month, so that people can access some more detail if they're interested. There's always so much that it's too much to cover, but the Bucks the Bucks County Intermediate Unit has continued to partner with the Bucks County Health Department and the Bucks County Emergency Management Services to utilize the Bucks County Intermediate Unit Administrative Building in Doylestown to be utilized as a location for the county to deliver more than 1,900 COVID-19 vaccines to 1A eligible Bucks County school employees. The Bucks County Intermediate Unit is also highlighting the fact that they have, they're trying to highlight their name as the Bucks County Intermediate Unit. It's Bucks IU instead of BCIU. And the BCIU was representing Bucks County and Berks County. So in order to differentiate the two, the Bucks County Intermediate Unit is using Bucks IU. On January 29th, the Bucks County Intermediate Unit's Bilingual and English Learner Department proudly hosted its first virtual presentation to over 70 educators throughout the Southeast region. It was presented by the Bucks County Intermediate Unit Bilingual Speech Language Pathologist, Michelle Jervis-Schultz, and EL teacher, Lorendana Martinez. It is imperative that districts, according to Michelle, it is imperative that districts take notice and learn how to support this growing population without having to refer them for special education services. And so that was a big part of the focus in this. The audience was presented with case studies and given questions to address in the special education referral process. The Bucks County Quakertown Government Services Center in the Quakertown Center is offering COVID testing for staff members still between 8:30 and 3:30 on weekdays. The Bucks County Intermediate Unit and Learning Team continue to develop and offer additional free mini workshops in support of the Bucks County School Districts and CTC staff. The latest group of work sessions is on equitable instructional practices for mathematics. Provided in 7 mini workshops, they all focus on the most effective math teaching practices. Each session will incorporate into the teaching practices strategies for addressing issues of equity and diversity. By shining a light on equitable strategies while exploring the most effective teaching strategies, the focus will be on providing opportunities for all students to learn high levels of mathematics. The Bucks IU is also celebrating the completion of the 5th cohort of the Ambassador Academy this month. We usually get together and recognize them and do different activities. That didn't really work out this time. We did a virtual version, but they're hoping to follow up with an in-person recognition in the near future. The Bucks County Intermediate Unit is scheduled to meet again on March 16th.
You're muted, Mr. Kraus.
My apologies. Thank you, Mrs. Baines-Clemens. Moving on to the Upper Bucks County Technical School, Mr. Cormack.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. Just a couple things. Number one, a capital project review is being done by SiteLogic, which is now underway, looking at the 3 facilities on campus. And we're expecting a report within a month and a half. So that's an exciting thing to see. It's the same company that we're using at Pennridge. So it's we think it's a good company, and we think the results are going to be fine for the VOTEC school. Another thing that, again, these are all going to be in conjunction with things that really impact the VOTEC school. The second one is Representative Craig Stats, minority chairperson of Career and Technical Education, the subcommittee of the House of Education. I think that's a great position for him, and we certainly support that. And I know we'll do great things for the VOTEC school. Next on my list, upcoming events. March 2021, National Technical Honor Society, and that's going to be virtual. March 2021, Spring OAC meeting. That's a virtual meeting. April is the NOCME Written Performance Test. That's the National Occupational Completion Test Institute. And again, June 2021, that's senior ceremony. So that's a great thing to happen. But certainly not last but certainly not least. This just, again, makes us Pennridge proud. Our graphic communications program student, Miss McKenna McGuire, a senior at Pennridge High School, designed the advertisement for BCCTS, which will be advertised on the electronic billboard in Quakertown from mid-February to mid-March. That is a great accomplishment. You need to stop by and see it. I think she did a fabulous job. Congratulations, Ms. McGuire. Thank you, Mr. Kraus.
I have a question about tech school.
Sure.
Are they doing the strawberry sale this year? Or are they just not? I thought it was this time last year that I bought them.
Ooh, Megan, would you know that answer? I certainly don't.
I haven't heard anything about it yet, so we'll pass on that information when it comes out, but it isn't something that's been shared with us yet.
No.
But the bakery and the restaurant are going to be opening up, so you'll be able to get food from there. Just haven't heard about strawberries yet.
All right, Mr. Cormack, when is your next meeting?
Our next meeting with the technical school is going to be, where is that date?
March 18th?
March 18th, excuse me.
No problem. And Mr. Cormack, back to you for the Pennridge Area Coordinating Committee.
Well, our coordinating committee is coordinating, but not in the manner and fashion which I think it should be. We have difficulty because of COVID and the weather and getting together. And I talked to our chairperson. We didn't have anything significant come up on the agenda. So at this particular point in time, we're looking at our February 25th meeting. That's going to be canceled. So our next meeting for the committee will be March 25th, 2021.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Cormack. Moving into the Pennridge Community Educational Foundation, Mrs. Walters.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. PCEF met on February 6th. We discussed our Faces of Pennridge. I want to make sure I got the right title, which is going to be our social media campaign that highlights various educators around the district that have gone above and beyond on a regular basis, but especially now during the pandemic with all the different models of teaching. So we have had committee members submit nominations so far, and then I believe they're opening it up to the public to submit some nominations in the near future. So pay attention to PCEF if you follow them on social media on Facebook for more information on that. And then we're also still discussing ideas for how to hold our lovely evening, which is not going to be in person in April, but they're still discussing, ways to celebrate and move forward with that for April. So we're collecting our donations for that. And our next meeting is going to be March 6th.
All right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Walters. All right. Is there any old business, board members? Yep. Is there any new business? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into a public comment section. According to policy 903, public comment, which is limited to 3 minutes, should be directed to the presiding officer rather than individual board members, district employees, or members of the public. For confidentiality and privacy rights, specific comments regarding particular individuals must be communicated privately to the school board and superintendent via email at psdschoolboard@penridge.org. Mr. Miller, do you have any comments you would like to add?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you for reminding people of the limits of policy 903. And I want to say just generally that's come to my understanding at the last board meeting, there was some confusion regarding public comment. As members of the public know, I serve as a parliamentarian for the district during public comment, and I am charged with adhering to board policy 903. It's read before every public comment period and permits public comment twice, once at the beginning of the meeting on agenda items only, and once at the end of the meeting on topics permitted by law. It also indicates the parliamentarian may interrupt or terminate a participant's statement when the statement exceeds the time limit, is personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. The district has, on balance, attempted to provide the broadest latitude possible for speakers during public comment. At times, the board has waived time limits contained in board policy 903 to allow speakers to continue. And at other times, the parliamentarian, that's me, has had to rule a speaker out of order for failure to comply with policy 903. At the last board meeting, the board met remotely, as we did today, and hopefully we will not on the 22nd. and consistent with board policy, reviewed comments remotely. And I was asked to make certain judgments, and I did so applying policy 903. I did so without seeking the opinion of any board member because it's my sole responsibility to enforce that policy. And I would also note that this also puts both the administration and myself in a difficult position because when we meet live, and if the speaker exceeds or seems to exceed the policy, the boundaries of 903, if they go over time or they stray into an area that I believe is inappropriate, I have a chance to engage that person and provide some guidance and nudge them back into where we ought to be. In a remote setting, I don't have any opportunity to do that. There's no real opportunity for interchange. And some individuals who complained that at the last meeting their comments were not read and that the ruling of the parliamentarian was unfair or improper. I disagree. I try and call the balls of strikes as fairly as I possibly can. And some of those individuals and their lawyer have threatened litigation in federal court against the district. And while I tell you that I disagree with their conclusions, neither the board nor the taxpayers should have to bear the cost of litigation over a comment. And such, the district will read the comment of those individuals as submitted to the board. And we do so with a couple fundamental understandings. One is we remain committed to the Sunshine Act and Policy 903. And secondly, and this is true of all public comments, the fact that the speaker has the opportunity to make a comment or submit a comment should not be construed as either condoning the statement, the speaker, the message, or adding any kind of imprimatur of accuracy to anything that's said therein. However, for purposes of moving forward and back to the business of the district, we are going to read the comments that were submitted tonight along with the comments that were submitted at the last meeting so that we can bring a conclusion to this issue. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. And with that, Dr. Bolton, do we have comments that we will be reading?
There has been public comments submitted this evening. I'm going to ask Mrs. Chenoweth if she would begin by reading some of the comments, and then I'll take over when she gets tired.
Thank you. Okay, the first comment comes from Ava Schwinghammer from Bedminster. I am a student from North Middle School presenting to you concerns brewing since 2018 from parents and students about the conduct of a certain board member and his acting VP. Our community is exhausted from explaining the role of the board to you. As a school board member in charge of a school system of students, your duty is to create an equal opportunity environment. When you care about the environment, education, and well-being of students and teachers, it is your responsibility to remove the current VP. You have all the evidence you need as presented by many parents and now me. It's her opinion, you say, it's just her right, freedom of speech. How can you say that about someone who denies systematic discrimination in society as a whole, who stood loud and proud with the rioters who destroyed our Capitol, who lied about our location? The hypocrisy is clearly evident. The First Amendment, by definition, keeps you from being arrested due to your opinion. It is not a free pass, an invite to push aside racism and homophobia. It is immoral, unprofessional, and unjust to allow this VP and head of our curriculum who expresses racist beliefs to represent Pennridge. All her tweets, including ones denying blackface, represent Pennridge as a whole. There is obviously no effort taken to include students in any decisions you make. Parents are upset, your students are furious, and teachers are too. We ask you, please make a change. The next one comes from Chuck Clifton from Sellersville. Along with many others, my public comment was not read at the last meeting, January 26th. Apparently, only 44 out of 81 comments were read. I am saddened to see district exhibiting this dismal double standard where we insist on First Amendment rights for board members, but have no problem censoring the speech of students, parents, and stakeholders. Here again is my comment submitted, here again in hopes it will be read this time around. Quote, I hope the board will find a way to distance the district from the comments and actions of Joan Cullen. Ms. Cullen has the right to speak her mind and promote baseless conspiracies, but the board should appropriately distance from these opinions lest we painted with a tainted brush. Legislators were hunted and police were murdered as Ms. Cullen mingled with riders on the Capitol lawn. A line has been crossed and we need to make a statement. Please do the right thing. Next comments from John Wilson, Bedminster Township. I'm a resident of Bedminster Township and a parent of 2 students in the Pennridge School District. I am deeply concerned by the recent censorship of more than 30 public comments by the district at the January 26th meeting of the full board. While the district administration and this board have repeatedly claimed they are powerless to discipline or even disavow Joan Cullen for her participation in the January 6th Capitol riots, the district has no problem flexing its muscles against concerned parents and students. As Ms. Cullen's political speech is defended by the district on free speech grounds, this district has simultaneously silenced the political speech of community members. And while Ms. Cullen is granted free rein to read a lengthy prepared statement, members of the public are restricted from uttering Ms. Cullen's name. The minutes themselves from the January 26th meeting reflect the depth of this hypocrisy. While Ms. Cullen's statement is quoted verbatim, the comments from concerned members are sanitized beyond recognition. Through the repeated inaction of board members and the administration, this district has chosen to prioritize Joan Cullen's outrageous political speech and personal Twitter followers to the outright detriment of the educational mission of Pennridge. Now we are left to wonder whether the district intends to retaliate against those who speak out against it. The district will continue to face serious obstacles in the coming months and years. Unless and until this board and its administration prioritize accountability, honesty, and transparency, they will remain ineffective and unable to address them. The next one comes from Kevin McFadden from East Rock Hill. When are we just going to have a robust conversation where we can all just have a discussion and agree on some things and disagree on others without everything being a cancel cultural type attitude? It has to stop. And I think it should be noted that when you talk about canceling someone when you disagree with their opinions, then there would be no one to elect or serve in any type of capacity. Stop looking for problems and start solving problems. Joan has an option to walk away, but she fights for her right to be heard, just like you people that want her canceled. Maybe there is a common ground and we can all work together as opposed to just looking to have someone removed because we disagree. Time to grow up and act like adults. Joe Iacabella, Telford. This comment, originally submitted on January 26, was intentionally omitted from public reading by the school board and the solicitor under the premise of policy 903. My original unedited comment reads as follows. As parents, we do our best to equip our children with the tools they'll need to succeed in life. At home, we reinforce the values of education, empathy, tolerance, and truth about lies. When we can't guide our children personally, we place our ultimate trust in this institution, a trust that they will not undermine or undo the values we instill. A trust has been violated by the Pennridge School Board, and more specifically by Ms. Joan Cullen. She has consistently illustrated that she values conspiracy and fantasy above facts and scientific evidence. She actively enables a culture of hate by denying the existence of institutional prejudices and is more willing to arm teachers with weapons rather than tools they need to guide and educate our children properly. Beyond being divisive, these values and beliefs compromise our students' well-being and our community as a whole. We do not wish to strip Ms. Cullen of her convictions nor her First Amendment rights. However, freedom of speech is not a license to poison our children's minds. We can no longer tolerate the board's support of a member who thumbs their noses at democracy, our educational system, and most importantly, our children. We beg the board to take the difficult but necessary steps of demoting Ms. Cullen from her role as school board vice president and removing her from all committees that allow her agenda to influence and impact the critical decisions that guide our students' education. Janelle Montigny, Hilltown Township. Dr. Bolton and Pennridge School Board. We live in Hilltown and have a 2nd and 4th grader at Seiler Elementary. We would like to begin by thanking you for all of your hard work getting our kids back to school this year. Pennridge was one of the first in our area and has done so safely. Over the past 6 months, our children have had an opportunity to have an in-person education when many districts have not. The school board is not a paid position, yet all of you worked hard and spent time to ensure that this was possible. The vast majority of our community appreciates it. Unfortunately, a small angry mob will not stop trying to distract you from focusing on matters important to our children's education. What someone does legally in their private time has absolutely nothing to do with their work on the school board. Those so aggressive with cancel culture should be very careful, It can easily boomerang back if mob disagrees with something you say or do. We hope and pray that once and for all, everyone can get their irrelevant and unrelated complaints and grievances out tonight so we can go back to focusing on our kids and their education. Is there something going on in one of the schools that you have an issue with? Is there something in particular with this curriculum that you have a problem with? Enough of the personal attacks. Let's get back to what is important, the children. Dr. Nicole Pozzano Slam, Hilltown.
Ms. Chenoweth, one moment. I believe there was a sentence at the end of that last public comment.
Oops, I'm sorry. There it is. One last comment. Turning Point USA is a great organization. If high school students chose to join it, that is their right. If they don't, that's fine too. We all have the right to our individual beliefs and the freedom to express them. My apologies. Okay, the next one, Dr. Nicole Pozzano Slam, Hilltown Township. I'm requesting that my comment that was not read at the prior meeting be read aloud tonight. My opinion deserves to be heard in its entirety, including this portion that reveals that my original statement was intentionally excluded from being read at the prior meeting. I am writing to each of you to consider endorsing a motion to remove Joan Cullen from Vice President and also member of the Curriculum Subcommittee. Additionally, I am calling on Joan Cullen herself to resign from the Pennridge School Board. This entire ordeal goes well beyond any argument that is simply about politics. If it was about being a Republican, there would be a call for most of you. This is solely about Joan's behaviors in attending the insurrection in Washington and prior and subsequent social media usage that clearly reveals her poor judgment, poor synthesis of facts versus her opinion, and the complete certainty that her political views impact her judgment in making decisions on behalf of all students, both from a safety perspective as well as any influence she has over curriculum decisions. If it looks like a duck and sounds like a duck, it is a duck, folks. Joan has shown her true self over and over to the embarrassment of this district. The impact of these scandals has taken precious time and attention away from the important work of district administration and the board. It has divided our community. Her energy and judgment in putting her political needs above all else is in direct opposition to her oath as a board member. I call for her to resign from her position and allow the district to move on in a healthy way for our students. Paul Clymer, West Rock Hill. We in the Pennridge community should be proud of our local school board in maintaining open schools. Those in our community undermining members of our school board should consider focusing their criticism on the public school systems in Philadelphia, New York City, Chicago, and San Francisco, where parents are begging for the schools to open. I give high praise to the Pennridge School Board for their dedication and commitment to educating our students. Alexis Shell, Hilltown Township. At the last school board meeting, you declined to read my comment along with many others. You did so not because it violated policy 903, but because you didn't like what it said. On the other hand, you let Joan Cullen speak for almost 8 minutes and let her spread more election falsehoods. If you don't like getting persistent comments regarding the actions of your school board members, you might try holding them accountable instead of silencing the community. Here's my comment that you declined to read. I am calling on you to ask Joan Cullen for her resignation from the Pennridge School Board. If she refuses, I am asking you to censor her from her duties as VP and curriculum chair. I have been personally contacted by multiple Jewish families in our community that do not feel safe in our school district with Joan Cullen as a member of our board. She has marched on the same side as neo-Nazis and white supremacists multiple times. She knowingly attended a rally, turned violent insurrection to attempt to overthrow our democracy. The Jewish families in our Pennridge community have had to continuously watch as the VP of our school board attends and fights for the same things as people that wore Camp Auschwitz and 6 MWE, parentheses, 6 million wasn't enough Jews, shirts. That is heinous and needs to stop. The conspiracy theories and lies she purports not only disenfranchise the Jewish families in our district, but the families of the Black and LGBTQ and communities as well. She has stated on her own social media that she doesn't believe in systematic racism or homophobia. She marches on the same side as neo-Nazis and white supremacists. Why is this something we are willing to accept? If she wants to continue to use her First Amendment rights as an excuse for her behavior, then let her do that as a private citizen. There's much work to be done. Why let one person constantly distract from the goal? I implore you to seriously consider what is at stake. Katie Renee, Percy Borough. I submitted this comment at the January meeting and it was not read. I am disappointed that the district would improperly apply policy 903 in order to silence concerned community members. When my oldest child entered kindergarten at Pennridge, she was introduced to the acronym PRIDE, Pride. Each morning after the Pledge of Allegiance, she recited with her class, I promise to show pride behavior. I will be polite, responsible, in control, do my best, and encourage others. My child and her classmates were expected to understand and adhere to these behaviors at age 5. If they could not, there were consequences which sometimes impacted the entire class. I would ask that when our 5-year-old children being held to a higher standard than Mrs. Cullen, who holds elected office and leadership positions on our school board. She displays a complete lack of control when it comes to her presence on social media, despite repeatedly bringing negative attention to our district. It is not responsible to amplify conspiracy theories or to openly decline to follow public health recommendations. She is not encouraging others when she perpetuates the idea that there is no systematic discrimination in our society, when at the same time, students and families and minority groups here in Pennridge have story after story of the discrimination they have faced in our schools. I could list other offenses, but I will spare you because we already know about them. Once again, because of Mrs. Cullen's lack of self-control and unwillingness to put her role as a school board director above her need for attention on social media. Under the elementary school discipline code, students are expected to accept responsibility for their own actions and to accept the consequences for those actions. So far, the consequences of Mrs. Cullen's actions have impacted the district, our reputation, our students. It is time she faced some consequences herself, to be clear, for her poor judgment, not for her political beliefs. Mrs. Cullen should accept responsibility for the embarrassment and negative attention she has brought to Pennridge, which she could do by offering her resignation tonight. If she will not, then it is up to the rest of the board to decide on some actual consequences. Take away her leadership roles. If she ever earned them, she has certainly sacrificed her right to maintain them through her poor decision-making. Let's ensure the minimum standards for the behavior of the vice president of our school board is slightly higher than what the district expects from a 5-year-old. Emily Smith, East Rock Hill. I am absolutely appalled by the current board's dishonest actions. Censoring community members is an egregious violation of public trust. The district inconsistently used a policy as an excuse to suppress criticism and make it appear that the community was evenly split on the absurd behavior of one of your directors, while at the same time using the First Amendment as a defense for her irrational social media posts. The district's continued support of conspiracy theorists and your actions in silencing community outrage against her so a very dangerous path. This is not a question of diversity of thought. There is a fact, there is fiction. Mrs. Cullen believes fictional stories she reads on Twitter without doing any research into their origins. Reposting and retweeting that propaganda disseminates it further into our community, which in turn increases violence. Bucks County has one of the highest number of people arrested for participation in the Capitol riots, and by the district not denouncing those violent actions, you are encouraging them. Is that the message that you want to send our children? Mike Strauss, Hilltown Township. I find it completely hypocritical, but not so surprising that the school board were up in arms over students protesting gun violence, ready to punish them at every turn. Yet when one of their own members joins a violent, deadly, and false premise riot, there is utter silence. Well, the silence is palpable, and I believe it's time we vote out every single coward on this board. Joan Cullen is a distraction that you could have dealt with, but chose to keep her. Don't be surprised we aren't over this yet, when there have been zero consequences for her actions. History will never forget which sides everyone was on. Cullen can be on the side of traitors, white supremacists, and conspiracy theorists. Your silence is complicit, and you're on that side too.
Thank you, Mrs. Chenoweth. Next is Jennifer Hannigan from Hilltown Township. According to policy 903, all statements shall be directed to the presiding officer rather than to individual board members, district employees, or members of the public. The concentration of this meeting should be in relation to what the board is meeting, whether it is adopt courses of study and textbooks, establish the length of the school term, adopt the annual budget, elect the superintendent and hire necessary employees, levy taxes, provide and maintain necessary grounds and school buildings, enter into written contracts with professional employees and into collective bargaining agreements, prescribe, adopt, and enforce reasonable rules and regulations regarding school activities, publications, and organization. Personal attacks, bullying, and singling out has no home in these meetings or in Pennridge. I did notice it states on the school site, for confidentiality and privacy rights, specific comments regarding particular individuals must be communicated privately to the school board and superintendent via email at psdschoolboard@penridge.org. Let's keep to the agenda at hand for our children, our families, and our beautiful community. Stacy Smith, Percy. I am resubmitting my comment that was not read from the last school board meeting. Since this original comment was submitted, we have learned even more horrific details about the events of January 6th at the Capitol. I have deep concerns regarding Joan Cullen's position on our school board. While I understand your position in regards to the First Amendment and the right to protest freely, participating in a rally that led to an attempted coup should never be acceptable. There were known domestic terrorists at this rally, members of violent racist organizations like the Proud Boys and other right-wing conspiratorial factions such as QAnon, all taking part. They openly posted on multiple social media sites about their intentions to take the Capitol. They are still talking about it and how they want to do it again. The fact that Joan not only participated in such a disgusting and disturbing display of insurrection, but then boasted about it on social media and is still sharing conspiracy theories and other extremist views is unacceptable. Some of the disgusting images seen at the rally in which Ms. Cullen proudly participated in: noose and gallows, 3%ers militia group flag, Kekistan flags, Confederate flags, Camp Auschwitz, and 6 MWE attire, Nationalist Social Club stickers, MAGA Civil War shirts with the date written on it. I already took issue with her tweets about systemic racism, and now more than ever, I do not want this woman involved in the decisions that affect our children or my tax dollars. Her participation in the attempted coup of the US government, whether she physically breached the Capitol or not, should not be tolerated. This is not what Pennridge is about. Mary and Eric Nogami, Hilltown. I wrote a public comment before the January 26th school board meeting with the standards listed in policy 903 in mind. My comment, along with 36 other public comments, was not read. When I asked for feedback about what part of my comment violated the policy, I was not given a clear answer. Public comments are the only way parents, teachers, and taxpayers can publicly communicate with the board directly when the meetings are on Zoom. And I hope that the censorship that happened last time will not happen again. As elected officials, the school board should be interested in hearing their constituents' views, even if it does not agree with their personal views. It is very worrisome to be silenced in this way. We are writing to you regarding the vice president of the Pennridge School Board, who publicly announced via social media her attendance at the Stop the Steal rally in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. The purpose of this event was to overturn the results of the November presidential election, despite there being no evidence of voter fraud and multiple legal reviews upholding the results of the election. Ms. Collins' attendance at this rally can be understood as detrimental to the American institution of democracy. It seems that she has little respect for the very system that she is a part of, as she attempted to overturn verified votes. As she is an elected official and helped oversee elections in Bucks County, this behavior is dangerous. As she took an oath to be on the school board to uphold and protect both the US and PA constitutions, this behavior is inexcusable. Let us be clear that this is not about free speech or the right to peacefully protest. This is about an attempt to stop legal processes and overturn legal votes. On that day, she was part of a movement that wanted to discredit our democracy and engaged in an attack on people at the Capitol. The controversies that she creates with her behavior, especially on social media, have disrupted this school board before and continue to do so. This past summer, and again on recent public posts, she has lashed out at constituents that did not agree with her actions. Recently, she has begun intimidating people by sending them threatening letters from lawyers with no legal cause. This is ridiculous behavior from someone who constantly covers her actions with First Amendment rights and then threatens legal action for those who don't agree with her. Again and again, Joan Collins' actions show behavior unfit for an elected official on the school board and distracts the school board from the business of actually running a school district. How many times are you going to endorse and reward her inappropriate behavior while the Pennridge School District suffers? This community has been dealing with Joan's dangerous, damaging, and distracting behavior long enough. It is time to hold her accountable to her oath and reduce her liability to the school district. We are asking the school board to censure her behavior as unacceptable for the VP position on the board. We ask that she be demoted from the position of vice president and be removed from her committees. She has sullied the name of the Pennridge School Board long enough. Anita Baker, Percy Borough. The Joan Collins issue is settled old business. Please move on to issues more closely related to the actual education of children, and thank you for the excellent job you are doing. Ross McLennan, Hilltown. I have several questions about the TP USA Turning Point USA affiliated club at the high school. Is the advisor Mr. Christopher Dyer? His name is listed on the club request form from September 2019. Is this a paid position? Is the board aware that the Pennridge TP USA Club has presence on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Weebly, depicting students in the school, and is this acceptable? References are included. Is the board aware that Pennridge TP USA Club is actively soliciting for the participation of non-students and adults from the community? Reference material is included. Turning Point USA at Pennridge High School is the official Turning Point USA chapter of the Pennridge community, founded in August of 2019. We strive to enlighten Pennridge High School students, Pennridge staff, and Pennridge community members to core American and conservative values. Since August of 2019, we've organized multiple chapter functions and meetings which provided the Pennridge High School student body with a forum, political discourse, and the free exchange of ideas. We've had meetings on multiple topics, from the impeachment of President Trump to American exceptionalism, and we're looking forward to scheduling more this year. Is the board aware that TPUSA has ties to white supremacist organizations and is being investigated as a right-wing organization promoting hate speech? Again, references are included. I would like answers emailed. Ken McDougall from Percy. For those board members who want to continue to look the other way on free speech, why don't we look at the board member whose daughter decided to take upon herself to write a political statement on the rock in front of the school that has been there for decades? With her decision, most likely supported by her father, who is on the board, I think it would be a good time to discuss his resignation from the board for supporting a far left agenda in today's society. I suggest we as conservatives would like to make that board member feel unwanted in our community and make him and his family feel as though their free speech has crossed the line. Kim Badelian, Percy Borough. It has come to my attention that once again, a group of malcontents is attempting to use the school board meeting as an opportunity to slander a school board member. These adults are using the comment portion of the meeting to spread lies and conspiracy theories, and they are doing so unchallenged. They are sowing division in this community, and it must be stopped. It is already difficult to find good people willing to devote a significant amount of time to volunteer as a school board director. Now that pool of potential candidates is dwindling because people are fearful that if they run for school board, they will be relentlessly harassed, defamed, and investigated simply because a vocal group of individuals disagrees with their political affiliation. This hurts our entire community. In addition, these verbal firing squads take the school board's time and focus away from the good work they are scheduled to do. Students and taxpayers deserve better. These same adults are also trying to shut down a conservative student club at the high school. Not content with attempting to silence adults, these same individuals are now going after our students. I ask that the school district resist the efforts of those individuals who wish to silence voices with which they do not agree. This community is made richer by a diversity of thought. Robert Sellers, East Rock Hill. Families in other school districts have reached out to me telling me how fortunate Pennridge families are to have their children in open in-class learning. One mother told me she needed to quit her warehousing job so she could help her kids with remote learning. There are many parents that have to go to work and they cannot work from home, and the stress this places on the family is immeasurable. School closures are leaving parents feeling unprepared to effectively support their children's learning. Parents of children affected by school closure are concerned their children are being left behind. School closures are affecting children's mental health, lacking interactions with peers and teachers, and having difficulty keeping children motivated. School closures, over 17 million children cut off from free school lunches. School closures, students with disabilities grossly neglected. School closures and the closing of states have caused a 24% increase of age 5 to 11 to the emergency room with mental health related visits. In Las Vegas schools, they have reopened due to increase in suicide. The closures of school have forced students to stay confined to their homes, increasing rates of anxiety and depression and suicide. In closing, I am so appreciative of the superintendent, the school board, administration, and the teachers for making the hard and at times unpopular decisions to open Pennridge schools. You have been proven right, but most important, you have saved children's lives. Pennridge School Board, I continue to support you. I know you focus on what's best for the students and the parents of the Pennridge community. Amy Fine from Hilltown. Wow, I am so Pennridge proud of Aaliyah and Maya Lomax for their work in founding the Minority Inclusive Club. Is there an Amazon wish list or similar where supportive families can help buy and donate items for this club? I would love to help contribute, and I know many other families would love to as well. Please let me know. Emma Nugami from Percy. I am in 5th grade in Siler Elementary, and I loved Maya and Aaliyah's presentation. Thank you for helping make our school district better. That is the end of the public comment, Mr. Kraus.
Thank you, Dr. Bolton. I do want to just publicly thank you, the administration, the professional staff, and the support staff for getting our school ready, doing all the hard work that you've done, the scheduling, the massive amount of time. And I know this, that you've put so much time into this, redoing bus schedules and classrooms and worrying about the cafeteria. So thank you for your hard work, everybody involved in getting our kids back to school. So thank you. So with that, we'll move into announcements. An executive session was held on February 8th to discuss a personnel matter. The next school board meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 22nd. So thank you all. Have a good night. Bye.
Thank you.